What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Twisted Twenties podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to reminding you of your God-given purpose through personal testimonies, trials, and personal revelations. I believe that God has created each and every single one of us with a purpose for a purpose, but ultimately it is up to us to align with it. I'm your host, Louise, and I hope that you enjoy today's episode. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Twisted Twenties podcast. It's your girl, Louise, and this week's episode is going to be completely different from the episodes I've been putting out since Twisted 20 started back. And the reason for that is this episode will be primarily just to encourage you. And not just to encourage you, but to also encourage myself. I'm going through a phase. I guess I could say a phase. But I'm going through this little hump in my life right now where I'm experiencing a creative block. I am experiencing a desire to not want to do my podcast. I'm experiencing not wanting to and not having the energy to do my podcast. And with life piling up on me, work piling up on me, activities piling up on me, I cannot afford to neglect the purpose that God has for me. And so this week, I just want to encourage you that do not allow the purpose that God has for you, the assignment that God has for you, to fall behind. And as much as I'm tired, as much as I want to go to bed, as much as I don't want to do this, I didn't want to record an episode this week. I really didn't. I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll do one on Tuesday and put it out next week. And God was like, no, you can't do that. Like, you can no longer do that. And because I've been in a place where I've been able to understand that when I get to a place of inconsistency or quote unquote taking a break, when I get to that place, it always ends up with me 1 week not putting out an episode, 2 weeks not putting out an episode, 3 weeks not putting out an episode. And God is literally showing me that I can't afford to do certain things anymore because it's a trigger for me and it's like a domino effect. So my trigger for me is not putting out one thing 1 week and then the following week I'm not putting out something. The third week I'm not putting out something. And then it starts a whole another cycle of inconsistency for me. So I say, you know what? I'm going to encourage my audience this week. I'm going to be vulnerable with them. I'm going to let them know I'm tired. I didn't want to do this. But when God calls us to do something, when God gives us an assignment, when God gives us a gift, we are to use it and we are to be obedient to what He's called us to do. I didn't want to do this tonight. I just got back in from visiting my family in Nashville. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. But I had to be obedient to what God has called me to do. I know sometimes we can get in a place of not seeing the full picture of what God has for us, not understanding the full plan. Because what God do is He'll give you like a little puzzle piece and He'll be like, okay, this is what I want you to do. This is the puzzle piece. You're not getting no more yet, but I need you to do X, Y, and Z. He'll give you direction and a little puzzle piece. And you're like, well, God, I need to see the full puzzle first. And I know sometimes, like, I get in that place. But this night that I decided, even though I'm tired, even though I'm ready to get into bed, even though I don't feel like doing it, even though I'm experiencing creative block, this one decision to still record and still put out a podcast episode could make or break the purpose that God has for me. The opportunities that He may have for me, the doors that might be opening up for me before the end of the year. I don't know what me being obedient and me deciding to still put out an episode is going to do. But all I can say is that I can't allow myself to get in a place of not putting out anything when I'm tired. Because I know that the enemy will use that as a leeway, as a door and an entryway to get me in a place of inconsistency. I know my weaknesses. I know my strengths. And my weakness is missing 1 week of Twisted 20s. I cannot afford to do that anymore. So this week, I want to encourage you that in the midst of your tiredness, in the midst of your writer's block, creative block, whatever you are experiencing, I encourage you to still be obedient to what God has called you to do. I hope that this mini episode encourages you. And although it wasn't long and I didn't give much explanation as to what's going on in my life, but I hope that it strengthens you. That even in the midst of being tired, even in the midst of being fearful, even in the midst of having no clue of the full vision of what God has called you to do, that you will still get up, you will still be obedient, and you will still take one step forward in the purpose that God has for you. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to tune in next week for a full episode of the Twisted 20s podcast. Peace, love, and blessings. T. Louise.